I'd like to extend a very heartfelt welcome to all of you tonight. Over the next few minutes, we're going to hear some stories from very ancient Hindu and Buddhist texts. And not only are we going to listen to these stories, we are going to see these stories getting danced out here. But before I start out, I want to tell you, Namaste. When you fold your palms like these, the thumbs point back at you, right? And the other 4 fingers, or 8 fingers, point at the other person in front of you, and you say Namaste, you're saying Namaha, not me, you. Right? It's not about me, it's about you. And that's what our dancers started our evening with. It's not about me, it's about you. Welcome home. In ancient India, thousands of years ago, people would sit together and talk to each other. And sometimes when wise people came together and started speaking with each other, they discussed very profound philosophy. These dialogues were put down in certain books called the Upanishads. The word upa means close. The word ni means closer. And sad is to sit down. So they would be like us, sitting really close to each other and talking about very deep things about life. They'd ask the question, how do we live in this world? And they would say, if you keep asking the question, what's in it for me, you're going to be very unhappy. If you start saying, I am in it for you, namahate, namaste, you'd be a bit happier. Right? Now, when they took this message to the common folk, not everybody understood them. So they put deep philosophical truths into stories. And these stories did not just have humans. There were animal participants in it. And these animals were not normal animals. They were special. They spoke in a human language. They spoke to each other. They spoke to us. And sometimes, through their actions, they would teach us to be humans. The stories we have tonight starts with a great flood that the Hindu mythological texts talk about. Millions and millions and millions of years ago, according to these books, there was a king called Satyavrata. And he went to take a bath in his pond, and a little fish came up to him and said, "My dear king, please save me. The bigger fishes are out here to eat me." So the king took the little fish, brought it home, put him in a little glass of water. But the fish started growing. And as the fish grew, the king thought, we need to have a bigger aquarium here. The kids were happy. And the king got a bigger aquarium. But very soon, the fish started getting bigger. And as days passed by, the fish got bigger and bigger and bigger. The king put the fish in the pond, and it outgrew the pond. The king put the fish in the river, it outgrew the river. And then one day the king said, "I can't help you anymore. Tell me, suggest some other place where I can put you." And the fish said, "Very soon, there is going to be a huge deluge. The entire world is going to get flooded. Since you have been so kind to me, I'm telling you this secret. Take a pair of animals each and get into a boat." Does that sound familiar? "And I will come, and I will protect you. Because every time dharma, justice declines, and adharma, injustice increases, I incarnate myself time and again on earth. And this time, I will come in as a fish. That's an image of Vishnu. The word Vishnu means one who enters everything. And in the Vedic texts, Vishnu appears a couple of times, and in later Vedic texts, he kind of becomes really, really prominent as the form of divinity that pervades everything. And Vishnu decided to appear as a fish and save the boat with all the species of animals, and the world restarted again. And Vishnu did not appear just once, he appeared 10 times, or 9 actually. The 10th, they say, is yet to come. The first time when creation began and things got a little messed up, he appeared as a fish, and then as a tortoise, then as a boar, then as a man-lion. Do you want to listen to the story of the man-lion? Thousands of years ago, there was a king called Hiranyakashipu and his brother Hiranyaksha. And they did not ask the question, what can I do for you? They asked the question, what is in for me? And the texts say that Hiranyakashipu became a very, very exploitative king. And he started digging the earth for minerals and other resources without considering the people who lived on that land. Now, we have heard that story before. And Vishnu had to appear as a boar. Do you see the third picture on the top? That's a boar appearing and lifting the earth out of back into its orbit. Right? And the fifth incarnation, they say, was a half man, half lion. And here's the story. There was a little boy called Prahlada. Prahlada means somebody who gives you joy. And this boy was actually a joy to live with. But there was one problem with this boy. While he was a devotee of Vishnu, his father was an enemy of Vishnu. Remember, Vishnu is one who pervades everything, who protects justice, dharma. Prahlada went to school and he started teaching his friends how to live well on earth, how not to exploit resources, and his father thought, my God, what a boy. And as the boy started growing up, he actually turned out to be his father's nemesis. Now, in Indian stories, it's a bit like Inception. There is a story within a story. Before Hiranyakashipu, the father, had Prahlada, he had meditated for thousands of years, according to the texts. And the creator of this particular universe came up to him and said, ask for a boon. And Hiranyakashipu said, I want to be immortal. And the creator said, even I die. I cannot give you that boon. Hiranyakashipu scratched his head and said, well, so here's the deal. Give me a boon so that I may not die inside my house or outside. And Brahma said, Tathastu, so be it. Hiranyakashipu said, one more. Give me a boon so that I may not die in the skies, on earth, or underwater. Brahma said, Tathastu, so be it. He said, give me a boon that I may not die either in the morning, at noon, or at night. And Brahma said, so be it. He said, give me a boon so that no human or animal can kill me. And Brahma said, thank you. And give me a boon so that no weapon can kill me. And Brahma said, and he thought he got his insurance policy for a lifetime. So there was Hiranyakashipu without any fear of death, exploiting Mother Earth like anything. And there comes his son, who's stopping him from his actions. And Hiranyakashipu got so upset, he sent him off to a boarding school, did not work. His enemies began to take advantage of that situation. And eventually, he called his sister, Holika, and said, he's too dangerous for our family. Kill him. It did not matter that Prahlada was his own son. They threw Prahlada in a well filled with poisonous snakes, but somehow, miraculously, Vishnu saved Prahlada. They threw Prahlada off a mountain, and somehow, miraculously, somebody caught him at the bottom. They put Prahlada in a cauldron of boiling oil, and Prahlada came out unscathed. And his father was out of ideas. So one day, he called his son. And the father-son duo had a very, very strong argument. You wouldn't want to be there. The argument was so dramatic that I'm actually going to ask one of our dancers, Priya, to come and demonstrate it for you. Priya. So there was Hiranyakashipu asking Prahlada, you say Vishnu is somebody who enters everything. Where is your Vishnu? And Prahlada said, everywhere. Vishnu is in me, Vishnu is in you. Vishnu is in the skies, on earth, and underwater. Vishnu is the light of the sun and the moon. Vishnu is the taste of water. Vishnu is the ability in man. Hiranyakashipu did not want to hear that. So he asked, is your Vishnu in that pillar out there? And Prahlada said, of course. And Hiranyakashipu was so angry, he went, took up his mace, and hit the pillar hard. And as the pillar cracked, out from it came a wonderful, beautiful, but fearsome creature that nobody had seen before in their lives. It was a half man, half lion. The lion's manes flew everywhere, like the flames of 1,000 blazing suns. His face was beautiful, like a glowing red moon. Hiranyakashipu was disturbed, scared, angry, and he said, who are you? And that strange creature said, I am Narasimha, the half man, half lion. I am time. I am your nemesis. Hiranyakashipu went to fight with this half man, half lion, but he was very quickly taken over. And Hiranyakashipu, no matter how hard he tried, felt as feeble as a snake in the jaws of a crocodile. Narasimha dragged him to the doorstep, and Hiranyakashipu said, stop, stop, I have the boon of immortality. You cannot do this to me. But he did not realize that it was neither morning, nor noon, nor night. It was the dusk. Narasimha was not a man or an animal. He was mixed. The doorstep was neither inside his house nor outside. Narasimha took Hiranyakashipu on his lap and said, "Your time has come. This is the end." And Hiranyakashipu said, "Stop, stop, stop. I cannot die." And Narasimha said, "My lap is neither the sky, nor earth, nor underwater. And my nails, my dear friend, is not a weapon." And that was the end of Hiranyakashipu. Now there are 10 incarnations of Vishnu, and each one of them has a story behind them. And what we're going to see now are these beautiful dancers come up and enact the story for you. Thank you.
Shri Gopal Vilasini Valayasar Ratnadi Mugdha Kriti Shri Radhapati Pada Padma Bhajananandabdhimagno Nisham Loke Satkaviraja Rajaiti Yaha Khyatodayambho nidhihi Tam Vande Jayadeva Sadgurumaham Padmavati Vallabham Pralayapayodhi jale Keshava Dhitavanasi vedam Keshava Pralayapayodhi jale Keshava Dhitavanasi vedam Keshava Vihitavahitra Charitramakhedam Vihitavahitra Charitramakhedam Keshavadhrita Mina Sharira Jaya Jagadisha Hare Keshava Jaya Jagadisha Hare Kshitirati Vipulatare Keshava Tava Tishthati Prishthe Kshitirati Vipulatare Keshava Tava Tishthati Prishthe Dharani Dharanakina Chakragarishthe Dharani Dharanakina Chakragarishthe Keshavadhrita Kachaparupa Keshavadhrita Kachaparupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Keshava Jaya Jagadisha Hare Vasati Dashana Shikhare Keshava Dharani Tavalagna Vasati Dashana Shikhare Keshava Dharani Tavalagna Shashini Kalanka Kalevani Magna Shashini Kalanka Kalevani Magna Keshavadhrita Sukara Rupa Keshavadhrita जगदीश हरे केशव जय जगदीश हरे तव कर कमल वरे केशव नखमद्भुत शृङ्गम् तव कर कमल वरे केशव नखमद्भुत शृङ्गम् दलित हिरण्य कशिपुतनु भृङ्गम् दलित हिरण्य कशिपुतनु भृङ्गम् केशवाधृत नरहरिरूप केशवाधृत नरहरिरूप जय जगदीश हरे केशवा जय जगदीश हरे चलयसि विक्रमणे केशवा बलिमद्भुत वामन चलयसि विक्रमणे केशवा बलिमद्भुत वामन पदनगरीर जनित जन पावन पदनगरीर जनित जन पावन केशवाधृत वामन रूप केशवाधृत वामन रूप जय जगदीश हरे केशवा जय जगदीश हरे क्षत्रिय रुधिरमये केशव जगदपगत पापं केशव क्षत्रिय रुधिरमये केशव जगदपगत पापं केशव स्नपयसि पयसि शमित भवतापं स्नपयसि पयसि शमित भवतापं केशवाधृत भृगुपतिरूप केशवाधृत भृगुपतिरूप जय जगदीश हरे केशवा जय जगदीश हरे इतरसि दीक्षुरणे केशव दिक्पति कमनीयं केशव वितरसि दीक्षुरणे केशव दिक्पति कमनीयं केशव दशमुखमौलि बलिरमणीयं दशमुखमौलि बलिरमणीयं केशवाधृत रामशरीर केशवाधृत रामशरीर जय जगदीश हरे केशवा जय जगदीश हरे शिव पुषि विशते केशव वसनं जलदाभं केशव बघ शिव पुषि विशते केशव वसनं जलदाभं केशव हलहति भीति मिलितयमुनाभं हलहति भीति मिलितयमुनाभं केशवाधृत हलधर रूप केशवाधृत हलधर रूप जय जगदीश हरे केशव जय जगदीश हरे विधे केशव अहहा श्रुति जातं केशव निर्दशि सदय हृदय दर्शित पशुघातं सदय हृदय दर्शित पशुघातं केशवाधृत बुद्ध शरीर केशवाधृत बुद्ध शरीर जय जगदीश हरे केशवा जय जगदीश हरे म्लेच्छनि वहनि धने केशवा कलयसि करवाळं केशवा म्लेच्छनि वहनि धने केशवा कलयसि करवाळं केशवा धूमकेतुमिव किमपि कराळं धूमकेतुमिव किमपि कराळं केशवाधृत कल्कि शरीर केशवाधृत कल्कि शरीर जय जगदीश हरे केशवा जय जगदीश हरे श्री जय देव कवे केशवा हितमुदित मुदारं केशवा श्री जय देव कवे केशवा हितमुदित मुदारं केशवा शृणु शुभदं सुखदं भवसारं शृणु शुभदं सुखदं भवसारं केशवाधृत दशविधरूप केशवाधृत दशविधरूप जय जगदीश हरे केशवा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे
Do you notice the story of the half man, half lion in the dance? That's a Narasimha sculpture from Germany. These are some of the earlier avatars. But Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashayascha dushkritam dharma sangsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. You want a translation? Whenever and wherever there is a decline of dharma, and dharma means righteousness, justice, truth, whatever you may, and a rise of non-dharma, I manifest to deliver the virtuous and to destroy evil. And this happens time and again in different places, age after age. So Narasimha was not the last avatar. There was another avatar, the Buddha avatar, according to the Hindu texts. But the Buddha did not claim himself as an avatar. And one day, a person came to the Buddha and asked, I see thousands of people coming to you. I see them transform. What are you? Are you God? And the Buddha sat there, silent, smiling, and said, no. He said, are you a prophet? And the Buddha said, no. He said, are you a guru? The Buddha said no. He said, are you a demigod? The Buddha said, no. Are you an angel? The Buddha said, and then he asked him, what are you? And the Buddha said, I am awake. And the point of the story is all of us, or many of us actually, spend our lives sleeping. We are born sleeping, we grow up sleeping, we go to school sleeping, we get married sleeping, we have kids sleeping, they grow up sleeping, and we die sleeping. And this is not our 24-hour cycle sleep. This is an existential sleep. And while the Narasimha came in to destroy Hiranyakashipu, who was exploiting earth, Buddha came to awaken others. But, as I said, there is a story within a story. There are incarnations within incarnations, and the Buddhist texts say that the Buddha had several lifetimes before he became the Buddha, the awakened one. And the stories of the Jatakas tell about the previous lifetimes of the Buddha. You see the stories there with different animal forms, and the Buddha was actually in several animal forms. He came in as different species. And one of the stories talks about, a swan with golden feathers. Once upon a time, the Buddha was born as a swan. And he remembered that he had left his wife and daughters from a previous lifetime. Now, since this was Buddha, this was a very special swan. And in order to help his family, he unleashed his magic. And do you want to know what the magic was? He would come in, and the moment they plucked a feather from him, it would turn out to be a 24-carat golden feather. Now, who wants a swan like that? Me too. So he would come to his family every day, and he would let them pluck just a feather. And with each passing day, his family started getting richer and richer and richer. But one day, as you can see the little swan on the left side, his wife from his previous lifetime told his daughters that, why do we need to wait so much to get rich? Let him come tomorrow. We'll figure this out. And the swan came in the next day, and his wife caught him and started plucking all the feathers. Now, there was one problem. If you plucked a feather from the swan without his permission or against his will, the feather wouldn't be a golden feather anymore. Tough luck. And as she started plucking all the feathers, like, oh my God, why aren't they gold? Where's the gold? And the swan was pained. And she felt that her husband was just useless now. So she dumped him in a barrel and told her daughters, he's no good. But gradually, the swan grew back its feathers. And did the swan come back to give his feathers? Yes? No? Would you? That's what he did. He flew away. And that's how, they say, the Buddha learned in one of his lifetimes that, quite a few things, that if you have memory of your previous incarnations, you are in a lot of trouble. But more than that, sometimes animals make us human. They bring us this mirror on our face and often tells us who we are. The person in the animal tells us, are we asking the question, what's in it for me? Or are we saying, I'm in it for you? So my friends, we have Priya performing the story of the golden feather. Thank you.
We're going to do a short Q&A, and then there's a farewell dance. So if anyone has a question, it's going to be kind of a quick one because we're running out of time. Anyone have? Great.
And I'm going to invite our artistic director, Pranita Jain, on stage with us. And we'll share our Q&A. Pranita, a warm welcome. Thank you. So questions for her or me?
Go ahead.
Can you tell us something about the instruments that were used to make the music?
In the first item, the Malari, it was a lot of veena was used. It's a South Indian string instrument that is considered the first string instrument of India, even preceding the sitar. And then there was the flute, the tabla, mridangam. That's what I recall.
Mridangam is a kind of a percussion that was used in the first song. Of course, the last one didn't have any percussions in it. I think there was a saxophone.
Yes, the sitar and the saxophone, and it was without a rhythm.
Thank you.
Yes. Are the male dancers? Is that what you're asking? Very rarely. There are male dancers, but it's a rare commodity.
I was just wondering, of the avatars, where does Krishna come in?
That's a very interesting question, and Pranita and I have been going back and forth on this. At least according to the song that we played today and the Bhagavad Purana, the text from which the song comes, Krishna is considered the source of the avatars. So he's not an avatar, but he is the locus of all the avatars. So instead of calling Krishna an avatar, it's Balaram who's an avatar. And the refrain of the song kept, did you see the girls doing like that? So that kind of gestured Krishna. So it is Krishna who's becoming each and every one of these avatars. Thank you.
Okay, if you'll stand up.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. Keshava. Keshava means one who destroyed Keshi, right? So, there are, if you read the stories about Krishna, there are several people who try to kill Krishna, but Krishna kind of outpowers them. And some of the commentaries say, for example, Aghasura, the snake demon, represents envy. So when Krishna kills Aghasura, Krishna kills the envy in us. So Keshi represents one of our vices, and Krishna is a killer of Keshi, so Keshava.
Excellent. We have one over here. Go ahead. You can stand up.
How long have the dancers been doing Indian dance?
So Priya has been learning for the last 17, 18 years, and the youngest of our dancers has been with us for 6 years. So it's anywhere from a period of 18 years to 6 years. They have been studying the dance form.
We can take one more.
And I encourage you to join them if you can.
Anybody else? One last question? In the back?
It did seem to me that some of the dance moves were yoga poses, like the tree, the dancer. Was I correct? I mean, is that something that maybe some of the moves are based on?
So the movement of Indian dance is very closely associated with yoga. So you're right in your observation that some of the dance poses looked like yoga poses. The tree pose, the mountain pose, the half moon posture, they're closely related.
This is a fun way of doing yoga, right? So we are going to have our last number called Thilana, which really means crescendo, right? So the dancers start with a namaste and tell you stories, and then they bring you in to their celebration. They're going to be kind of a complexity of dance moves here, and I really want you to observe their hand gestures, their face gestures, and their grace overall. And if you'd like to talk to us, we'll be there after the show's over. Pranita and I'll hang out with you. And thank you once again for coming here tonight.
I'll just introduce the dancers. I'll just take a moment to introduce the dancers to you by name. Priya Assistant Artistic Director Priya Narayan. She's I'll say all the names and then we can clap, okay? She's joined by Sushmita Yallapragada. Sorry. Anu Bhatt, Kinnari Vora, and our youngest dancer is Ariel Toole.
Enough. I'd like to thank Brett. Brett, can we have you here? He's the man behind the curtain pulling all the strings. And all the other organizers of this show, thank you for announcing. And let's enjoy the dance.
Tam tam takatari tagutari gida tagadim tadim takata jam jam tari gida tagatam tam takatari tagutari gida tagadim tadim takata jam jam tari gida tagatam tam takatari tagutari gida tagadim tadim takata jam jam tari gida tagatam tam takatari tagutari gida tagadim tadim takata jam jam tari gida tagatam tam takata tari tagutari gida tagadim tadim takata jam jam tari gida tagatam tam takata tari tagutari gida tagadim tadim takata jam jam tari gida tagatam tam takata tari tagutari gida tagadim tadim takata jam jam tari gida tagatam tam takata tari tagutari gida tagadim tadim takata jam jam tari gida tagatam tam takata tari tagutari gida tagadim tadim takata jam jam tari gida tagatam tam takata tari tagutari gida tagadim tadim takata jam jam tari gida tagatam tam takata tari tagutari gida tagadim tadim takata jam jam tari gida tagatam tam takata tari tagutari gida tagadim tadim takata jam jam tari gida tagatam tam takata tari tagutari gida tagadim tadim takata jam jam tari gida tagatam tam takata tari tagutari gida tagadim tadim takata jam jam tari gida tagatam tam takata tari tagutari gida tagadim tadim takata jam jam tari gida tagatam tam takata tari tagutari gida tagadim tadim takata jam jam tari gida tagatam tam takata tari tagutari gida tagadim tadim takata jam jam tari gida tagatam tam takata tari tagutari gida tagadim tadim takata jam jam tari gida tagatam tam takata tari tagutari gida tagadim tadim takata jam jam tari gida tagatam tam takata tari tagutari gida tagadim tadim takata jam jam tari gida tagatam tam takata tari tagutari gida tagadim tadim takata jam jam tari gida tagatam tam takata tari tagutari gida tagadim tadim takata jam jam tari gida tagatam tam takata tari tagutari gida tagadim tadim takata jam jam tari gida tagatam tam takata தரிகிட தகதாம் தாம் தகத தாரி தகுதரி கிட தகதீம் ததீம் தகத ஜம் ஜம் தரிகிட தகதாம் தாம் தகத தாரி தகுதரி கிட தகதீம் ததீம் தகத ஜம் ஜம் தரிகிட தகதாம் தாம் தகத தாரி தகுதரி கிட தகதீம் ததீம் தகத ஜம் ஜம் தரிகிட தகதாம் தாம் தகத தாரி தகுதரி கிட தகதீம் ததீம் தகத ஜம் ஜம் தரிகிட தகதாம் தாம் தகத தாரி தகுதரி கிட தகதீம் ததீம் தகத ஜம் ஜம் தரிகிட தகதாம் தாம் தகத தாரி தகுதரி கிட தகதீம் ததீம் தகத ஜம் ஜம் தரிகிட தகதாம் தாம் தகத தாரி தகுதரி கிட தகதீம் ததீம் தகத ஜம் ஜம் தரிகிட தகதாம் தாம் தகத தாரி தகுதரி கிட தகதீம் ததீம் தகத ஜம் ஜம் தரிகிட தகதாம் தாம் தகத தாரி தகுதரி கிட தகதீம் ததீம் தகத ஜம் ஜம் தரிகிட தகதாம் தாம் தகத தாரி தகுதரி கிட தகதீம் ததீம் தகத ஜம் ஜம் தரிகிட தகதாம் தாம் தகத தாரி தகுதரி கிட தகதீம் ததீம் தகத ஜம் ஜம் தரிகிட தகதாம் தாம் தகத தாரி தகுதரி கிட தகதீம் ததீம் தகத ஜம் ஜம் தரிகிட தகதாம் தாம் தகத தாரி தகுதரி கிட தகதீம் ததீம் தகத ஜம் ஜம் தரிகிட தகதாம் தாம் தகத தாரி தகுதரி கிட தகதீம் ததீம் தகத ஜம் ஜம் தரிகிட தகதாம் தாம் தகத தாரி தகுதரி கிட தகதீம் ததீம் ததரதானி உதரதானி தனதிரனா திரனா ததிரனா தததிரத ததரதானி உதரதானி தனதிரனா திரனா ததிரனா தனதிரத ததரதானி உதரதானி தனதிரனா திரனா ததிரனா தனதிரத தனதிரன திரனா தரிம திரிரி பமபபத திரன தனதிரன திரன தனதரிம திரிரி பமபபத தனதிரன ததஜம் தகடம் திரன ததஜம் தகடம் திரன ததஜம் தகடம் திரன தீங்கின 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 தாம் தாம் தகத தாரி தகுதரி கிட தகதீம் ததீம் தகத ஜம் ஜம் தரிகிட தகதாம் தாம் தகத தாரி தகுதரி கிட தகதீம் தோம் கிரமித தினதீம் கிரமித தினனம் கிரமித தினதீம் தனதீம் தோம் தோம் கிரமித தினதீம் கிரமித தினதம் நம் கிரமித தினதீம் தனதீம் தக்கண்ணக்க தகுதரி கிட தகதித்தில்லாத தகுதரி கிட தகதிமி தரிகிட தோம் தகதிமி தரிகிட தோம் தகதிமி தரிகிட தாம் தாம் தகத தாரி தகுதரி கிட தகதீம் ததீம் தகத ஜம் ஜம் தரிகிட தகதாம் தாம் தகத தாரி தகுதரி கிட தகதீம்